What's going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome back to a brand new and updated Photon Galaxy deck profile for the month of November. I was looking back at what videos to kind of update, and didn't really have a video planned out for today, but I saw I haven't updated this deck since August, and I figured I'd go ahead and take a look at it and make some changes, and changes I have made. But with the overwhelming positive feedback I got on the last profile with the new style of deck profile, where we do the normal profile, the breakdown, you know, talking about card rolls, and then do a test hand afterwards. You guys seem to really like that format, and I appreciate all the feedback, and I think we'll keep doing those going forward. So without further ado, I'll give you guys my updated Photon Galaxy deck list for November 2019. Also, reminder real quick, if you're interested in picking up any of these sleeves or this beautiful playmat, the Millennium Ring playmat, check out Imperium Duelist down in the description below and use that discount code WinterKills10% or WinterKills10 off for 10% off your entire order. So help support me and help save you guys a little money. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the profile. Again, this is the standard profile, so we're going to go really quick. 3 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, 3 copies of Galaxy Knight, 3 copies of Galaxy Brave, 3 copies of Galaxy Soldier, a lot of 3-ofs in here, 1 Galaxy Wizard, and 1 Photon Thrasher. Then the other level 4s, we have our 3 Photon Vanisher, 3 Photon Orbital, the priciest card in the whole deck, I would imagine. And then we have 2 copies of Effect Veiler, and that rounds out all the monsters. And now we'll go into the spells. To start, we have 3 copies of Photon Sanctuary, 3 copies of Galaxy Expedition, 2 copies of Trade in this time around, 2 copies of Pot of Desires, 2 copies of Called by the Grave, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Galaxy Trance, and of course 1 Upstart Goblin, and 1 Reinforcement of the Army. That is it for the spells, and the last 2 trap cards I'm opting to run are 2 copies of Tachyon Transmigration. So that is it for the main deck. Now we'll go into the extra deck, and to start with the links, we have only 3 links, and that is 3 copies of Galaxy Eyes Soulflare Dragon himself, the one and only link we need to play. 1 Starleash Photon Blast Dragon, 1 Cyber Dragon Nova, 1 Cyber Dragon Infinity. Then we have the classic Galaxy Eyes package right here where it belongs in a Galaxy deck. Cypher Dragon, Full Armor Photon, and Cypher Blade. 2 copies of number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, 1 number 107 Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, 1 number 62 Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon, 1 number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy, 1 number 97 Drag Lubion, and 1 number C107 Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. And that rounds up the extra deck. Now we'll go ahead and break down the deck and talk about card rolls, starting with starters. Alright, so I've now gone and pieced out the deck based on rolls and card rolls other than just monster spells and traps. So we have our starters, our superior extenders, followed by the additional extenders, things that could also be considered engine requirements or additional extenders, defensive cards or cards that help re-raise our ceiling, and of course the placeholder card that helps our deck get below the 40 card count. But we'll go ahead and take a look at the starter cards first, because that is basically the heart and soul of the deck, things that we need to play first. Sort of when looking at the deck and how we play it in sort of terms of like order of operations, what most important cards come first, what cards are the easiest to activate, what cards help facilitate our engine, what cards help us see more cards in our engine. So to start, we have the 3 Galaxy Soldiers, followed by the 1 Photon Thrasher and the 1 Galaxy Wizard. Then we have 3 Photon Sanctuary, 2 Trade-in, 2 Desires, and a Rhoda. Now this is the starter cards. These are the cards, again, that have the easiest activation requirement, help to facilitate our engine, and help us see more cards, additional cards, give us more and better options as we proceed through our turn. Now, I know somebody was in a bit of disagreement with me when referring to this card as a starter card or not, but the simple fact that it has an extremely easy activation requirement, and it does allow you to see into more cards was what makes it a starter card. It's the same reason where in decks like Shadal or BA, a card like Allure of Darkness could be considered a starter card, or in back in the day Mythic Ruler decks, a card like Trade-in would be considered a starter card. So same rule applies here. They might not be the highest quality of starters because it doesn't get us exactly what we need, but again, it gives us the option to help us see more cards that help facilitate our engine. Galaxy Soldier, of course, requiring 1 discard with, combined with any light monster in our deck, helps us search an additional Galaxy monster, which can help facilitate plays, especially when going for a card like Galaxy Knight. Then again, we have a card like Thrasher. It helps us to just get a free monster on board, which again helps facilitate a lot of the superior extenders we're going to be taking a look at in a moment, because a lot of cards in this deck require things to already be on the field, and this is what this category sort of excels with. Galaxy Wizard is another card that, again, it's a normal summon. It can attribute a way to just go ahead and grab you a Galaxy card, which is really, really important. Can grab you a soldier, a knight, an expedition, whatever it may be, and it can also modify its levels as well and sort of act as an extender in its own right. But just as a normal summon, if you don't have the right cards, you can use Galaxy Wizard to go retrieve them, so it's a nice searcher. Sanctuary, again, this card is incredible because it puts out 2 tokens onto the field that can either be used as link fodder or allow you to take advantage of other superior extenders that we have, like cards like Advancer and Orbital, things of that nature. So that's why I would put Sanctuary as a starter card 100%, because it does help facilitate the engine. Then we have 2 trade-in. We have a lot of level 8 targets. Again, getting them in the graveyard also acts as a synergy to set up other plays, and again, helps us see more cards. Same thing with Desires, just again, seeing more cards, more and better options to help us work with in our opening hand. And then Rhoda, again, this card is amazing because it can get Thrasher, or it can get Advancer, or the Advancer if we need it. Or the Vanisher, not Advancer, my bad. But again, if we need it, if we already have the Thrasher, we can get the Vanisher, and if we already have Vanisher, we can get the Thrasher to make it live immediately. So that's why I would put these cards as the starter card. We have 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 starter cards, which is about the high end of starter cards that we want. I actually had about 15 starter cards, which would be the 3rd trade-in and the 2nd wizard, but I didn't want to play too many starter cards because the more starter cards you add, the less powerful your deck becomes. It does become a bit more consistent, but you sort of lose out on that balance between power and consistency, and I think it's important to value power a bit more than consistency in most cases. So yeah, that's it for the starter cards. Now we'll go ahead and take a look at the superior extenders. And the superior extenders are a bit interesting in a deck like this. They all require something to already be on the field, besides the Monster Reborn, but of course that card is just really good on its own. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. But again, that's why I put cards like these in the starter category. Cards like Soldier, very easy to get on board. Thrasher doesn't take up our normal summon. Wizard can get us cards to make cards like these live. Sanctuary, again, just play it, get 2 tokens, turns on all of these cards. Also, the additional extender of Galaxy Knight. Yeah, and Rhoda can help us see cards that we can get on board easy to set up these cards like Thrasher. So yeah. But Orbital, again, requires a Photon or Galaxy monster to already be on field to equip either from field or hand to be able to search a Photon or Galaxy monster. So again, that sets up tons of plays down the line. And then Vanisher, you could also consider this card like an additional extender, because sometimes, like, depending on your hand, you'll have like Thrasher and Orbital, and then Orbital will go get Vanisher, then Vanisher will get Galaxy Eyes, etc., etc. You might trade it in at that point for more cards if you didn't already start your turn with a card like Trade-In. Vanisher gets us the key card in our deck, which is Galaxy Eyes, of course, which is the revival target for Galaxy Knight. Trade-in target helps us facilitate a lot of plays, helps us get good link fodder on the field, or it can help us make rank 4s. Expedition is an incredible extender, definitely not by no means a starter, but also, again, requires a level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy monster to already be on the field. To be able to make any of these other cards like live, they need cards already in play. And that's why Monster Born can also be pretty helpful too. If you trade in something like Galaxy Eyes, you can reborn it to make literally any of these cards become live, which help to, of course, extend upon the plays you've already made. So yeah, we have about 11 of these here, or 10 of these. So yeah, I think that's a solid number to have. They're not, again, the highest quality. That's why this deck isn't as consistent as, you know, it should be. It's just because the quality of some of the extenders and starters aren't the greatest, because they do have like very like niche activation requirements to meet sometimes. So, but yeah, now we'll take a look at the additional extenders. I wouldn't put Knight in the superior extender category because Knight takes a bit of a setup. You're usually going to go for Knight as like one of your last plays after you've already gone into Soul Flare to add back an additional card. And it does require a Photon or Galaxy monster to already be on field, and it is your normal summon. So you kind of have to like save this for the right moment. Galaxy Brave is a card that could also be sort of grouped into the superior extender category, but I decided to put it as additional because this is a card that you do need a Photon monster in hand for, which in most cases, again, you don't really go for this card immediately, or even like as a secondary option, because you do need like a Photon to reveal, and usually going to do that after you know, go for a card like Vanisher to add Galaxy Eyes, then reveal it in special summon as a level 8, and then follow up with like a card like Expedition. But again, this is a card that could sort of cross between the role of superior and additional, because sometimes this card is really great and can almost act as a starter as well, because if you have a card like Orbital and Brave in hand, you can start with Orbital, reveal the or start with Brave, reveal the Orbital, special the Brave, then your Orbital becomes live. So this card is really nice because it can sort of serve as either an additional, superior, or a starter card. So it does have a lot of cross functionality. That's why I think it's a very important card in here. It's also trade-in fodder as well, or discard fodder for Galaxy Soldier. So, and then I have Galaxy Trance in here. This card I would also consider an additional extender because sometimes if you already have a rank 8 on field and your graveyard is allowing for it based on what like cards you saw that turn, you can use it to make an additional rank 8 on top of the rank 8 you already made. This could also be sort of like a recovery card or sort of like as a bomb card, because this, again, you play it, pay the 2,000, sort of high risk, high reward. It gets you a free rank 8 essentially, or rank 4. Yeah, it's a fantastic card, 100%. But yeah, those are the cards I would consider additional extenders. Brave, again, this is a card that you could fit into either of the categories of superior or even a starter. It really just depends on how your hand is and how you look at certain plays. Then next we have 3 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. This is a card I really didn't know where to put. This card I would almost consider an engine requirement, just because like you have so many cards that like rely on this card to either be in hand or in grave to make it useful, and cards like that are Photon Vanisher and Galaxy Knight. Vanisher strictly searches this card out for discard fodder off of Soldier, so this is a card that sort of is like passed around through all of these other card rolls to make them live, ultimately to be able to revive out of grave with Galaxy Knight for that sort of 1 card rank 8, which is really, really powerful in this deck, and it's sort of the heart and soul. So this you could consider like an engine requirement, which we do unfortunately have 3 copies of, because opening multiples of these is really bad when you don't see the right cards to go along with them. This card really does nothing on its own, and it's only useful when combined with other cards like Soldier, Brave, when it's already in graveyard with a card like Knight. Yeah, it's really an interesting card, and I would consider it sort of an engine requirement. But again, it's a trade-in target. It's useful with other cards, but it doesn't do much on its own. So yeah, that's it for that. Now we'll take a look at the defensive cards. And those cards I would call cards like Effect Veiler and Tachyon Transmigration. This card can also be used as discard fodder for your Galaxy Soldier. You could also play Ghost Ogre. I like playing Light Hand Trap because if you need to discard it for Soldier, you can. Because I'd hate the reason my hand is dead because I open a Soldier, no other lights, and I open a hand trap like Ash, and I can't use my Soldier when I'd rather just get rid of this to be able to continue playing. Transmigration, again, defensive card. It does have a bit of an activation requirement, but getting a Galaxy Eyes monster on field is pretty easy to do. And if you can't get it on field, you're probably in a losing position anyways. That's just the way I like to look at it. And then this card you could consider defensive, but it also helps to re-raise our ceiling based on, you know, things that our opponent is trying to impose upon us. A card like Ash, a card like Ogre, which can really hurt on a card like Galaxy Knight. So this card is really good for protection, and I think should be played in this deck in some way, shape, or form. Because having certain power plays picked off by a hand trap at the right time can be the difference between winning and losing. And then Upstart Goblin, of course, to lower the deck count below 40, the placeholder card. And yeah, that's it for the card rolls. I hope you guys are enjoying this sort of like segment, and I know you guys said you did in the last profile, so hopefully it's living up to your guys' expectations still. But again, starters, extenders, defense cards, etc., etc. This deck is weird because there's a lot of cards that could be considered in multiple roles, like Galaxy Knight could be considered a superior extender, Brave could be considered a superior or even a starter card given the right hand. This card, I would consider it an engine requirement, mainly because, again, it does nothing on its own to facilitate combos for you. It's just sort of like, you know, a means to an end. You're just using it to make all your other cards live. So now we'll take a look at the extra deck and based on sort of the roles of the cards in the extra deck. So we'll go into the extra deck now, and Galaxy Eye Soulflare Dragon serves a lot of roles. This card serves as a superior extender in the fact that it can add back any Photon or Galaxy card or Photon or Galaxy monster in your graveyard upon Link Summon. It also has the additional effect to act as a defensive card. When you have, during your opponent's main phase, you can discard a card. Quick effect, discard a Photon and or Galaxy card or just one Galaxy-sized Photon Dragon. Again, there's that engine requirement of it. To be able to destroy a special summon monster they control. So, defensive card, very easy to get into, and is an amazing extender to help re-add light monsters back to your hand, again, to fuel cards like this to be able to make infinity. And then we'll take a look at sort of our defensive cards that we have. There's quite a few defensive cards because this is sort of a going first deck. We have a lot of defense, which is really important because, again, going first deck, need that defense. And those defensive cards, again, are cards like the Starleash Photon Blast Dragon, of course. It does give your cards with 2,000 attack or more that immunity to targeting or destruction by card effects, which is really, really strong. It can also act as an extender as well. I would say additional, because sometimes, let's say you have, you know, Thrasher and Vanisher and no other really good cards in hand except for maybe a Knight. You go Thrasher, Vanisher, add Galaxy Eyes, summon this, and you have no way to get that Galaxy Eyes engraved where you need it most. You know, you can use this to get Galaxy Eyes on field, and then link this and the Galaxy Eyes into this, add back the Galaxy Eyes or something else, or add back this card for later use, and then normal summon the Galaxy Knight to revive the Dragon, make a rank 8, and you're all set. This card is a reactive extender. It's a defensive card. It's like a floodgate in some sense. It's amazing. It offers protection for itself. It searches a card on your opponent's turn whenever they do something, and it can also negate monster effects and destroy. Again, this card is an amazing defensive card, stops spells, and also an amazing defensive card also. So quite a bit of defense in the extra deck. This card I would consider sort of an additional extender. It can also sort of act as like a floodgate, because it can bring out cards like, you know, number 38. It can bring this card out, which is insane. This card does a lot. Like, it can attack like multiple monsters, or it can negate the effects of all their face-up cards currently on the field. So like, it can just be a complete board wipe. And this card is protected from targeting itself, so they can't Ash it, or they can't Valor or Imperm it, which is nice. So it usually is going to go through, and whatever you bring out is going to go through. And then we have our offensive cards like Cypher Blade, Full Armor. This is an engine requirement. You have to play this for the Infinity. And the number 62. This card could also be considered offensive, also sort of floodgatey. This card can be also offensive. It's a bit removal as well. We have quite a bit of removal in the extra deck. No real removal in the main deck, but we do have good core removal within our own engine via the Full Armor and the Cypher Blade. This card is also considered removal as well, so this is a very good package for removal. Again, offense, and could also be considered defense, again, to turning off big fields that we couldn't be able to deal with otherwise. So we sort of have like mass negation in the form of 107 and C107. So yeah, that's it for the profile and the deck breakdown. Now we'll go ahead and do a test hand or two. So the deck has been shuffled here. Let's go ahead and draw into our first hand and see what we can accomplish. Drawing into Reinforcing the Army, Photon Vanisher, Galaxy Knight, Galaxy Eyes, and a copy of Expedition. Now this again is a going first deck, so we'll do going first hands. Again, we opened a starter and a lot of extenders here, which is really nice. So we'll start with the Rhoda and hope they don't have the Ash, which I don't think most people will Ash Rhoda. So I think we're in the safe zone there. So we're gonna add the Thrasher because we need that to sort of facilitate our plays. So Thrasher's gonna hit the board, and that will turn on the Vanisher in our hand, which will allow us to get an additional Galaxy Eyes to our hand. Now, we're going to actually have to go into our extra deck here for a bit of extension, because we don't have a way to get the Galaxy Eyes in our hand to the graveyard. But we're going to use the Vanisher either way to add another copy of Galaxy Eyes here. And now we're going to overlay into that Starliege Photon Blast Dragon, which we talked about earlier as being an extender, which we're going to use it right now to do so. So on summon, we can special summon this from our hand, and then we can link these off into a copy of the where is it? The Galaxy Eyes Soulflare Dragon, and then on summon, we'll activate its effect to add back a card. And we'll go ahead and add back the Photon Vanisher for a future turn. And then from this point, we can go ahead and use Galaxy Knight's normal summon effect to go ahead and revive this. And from here, we have an option. We can go ahead and use Galaxy Expedition now to go ahead and summon out a level 5 or higher. We'll summon out Soldier, and Soldier will add us a copy of Soldier. And I think you can see where we're going from here. I think it's important that we don't discard the other Galaxy Eyes in our hand, because that would turn off our Soulflare Dragon, which we don't want to do. We'll cut the deck there. Now we'll go ahead and overlay into the, where is it? The number 90, which we should have done first. Well, no, we couldn't have done first because we needed to play it while we still had that level 5 or higher on board. But nonetheless, we'll go into it now, and then we'll summon this by discarding the Photon Vanisher and overlay into a copy of Nova, and then follow up swiftly with a copy of Cyber Dragon Infinity. And just like that, we're able to end on number 90, Infinity, and the Soulflare with a copy of Galaxy Eyes in hand. And during their turn, we're going to be able to search a copy of a Galaxy card, and we can either add Sanctuary, we could add Trance, we could add Photon Sanctuary, we could add Orbital, we could add another Knight for next turn. There's so many options. I would probably just go ahead and grab like Knight as a follow-up, or maybe even where is it? The Trance. It really is up to you, and depending on what the end board looks like after they've gone through their turn. But either way, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I hope you guys are enjoying these types of profiles. Again, keep leaving your feedback. And yeah, as always, guys, if you're picking up anything on TCGPLAYER, don't forget to use my affiliate link down in the description below if you want to pick up a Photon Galaxy deck for yourself. Use that affiliate link. It helps support me and the channel a lot. And also, don't forget Imperium Duelist as well if you're interested in amazing sleeves or playmats or dice, calculator cases, etc., etc. Check them out as well. And don't forget to use my discount code too. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, WinnerKill sign out. We'll see you guys in the next one.